Hey y'all, welcome back to video 3. If you have been following along, I'm going to assume that you're enjoying this book as much as I am, or as much as I have and as much as I do. I'm always going to say this even when we get to the last couple videos in this section or in this series. Get the book. I think this book is I know this book is absolutely one of the books that you will revisit. I've had this book probably for over 3 years, 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. And I'm still reading it while doing this with you all, and I'm still finding gems. So you're not too late. Grab the book and follow along. Comment below. I'll talk about this with you even after the series is over because it's just such a good book. And so today we're talking about courage, which I'm gonna be honest, this is kind of like an ouch section for me. And so I'm excited to unpack this with you all because I want to see what that looks like on camera, to not only be teaching it, but also pushing myself to admit when it's like, yeah, ugh, yikes, you know? So she says, the root of the word courage is cor, or cur. I don't know how they would pronounce it since it's just C-O-R, but it's the Latin word for heart. She said in one of the earliest forms, the word courage had a very different meaning than it does today. She says, courage originally meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. I love this because this is definitely different from the type of courage we talk about in 2020. When my students talk about courage, when I think of courage, heroic acts definitely come to mind. And that's what she begins to unpack in the next following lines. But I love that she breaks down courage for this section in 2 ways. She says the first way of demonstrating courage is being able to ask for what you need and admitting or sharing that you don't know. So the first part of that, asking for what you need, it instantly made me think about how many times I have been in Columbus. And if you're new to this channel, I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm out here by myself. I don't have any immediate family here. I have family in Columbus, meaning people that I would consider family, but like I don't have people that are like related to me by way of blood in Columbus. And it just makes me think like how many times I've needed something and did not tap into the community that I've cultivated, have been admitted to being a part of, because I didn't open my mouth to say, hey, this is what I need. And it makes me think about this accent chair that I have in my living room and how when we do say what we need, how many obstacles do we miss? Like how many obstacles do we not have to undergo because we simply tapped into the people that we know? Let's not even make it deep. Like let's not even say it has to be courage. I mean, let's not even say it has to be people that you're in community with. How many obstacles can we avoid just by utilizing people that we had the privilege of knowing? Even if it's not intimately, we just know them, right? Back to the chair wouldn't fit in my car. And I was this close, y'all, to getting a U-Haul. Let me show you again. See, look at that. You see that? That close to purchasing a U-Haul, which essentially would have meant spending more money on, like spending more money where I saved money. Because I had been looking at this chair for weeks and it was on sale. And essentially the difference I would have been paying towards a U-Haul. So I remember talking to this lady that I call my big sister in Columbus. And she was like, what? Why are you getting a U-Haul? Why didn't you ask me? I have a truck. She starts naming all these people in the church that have a truck. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't want to be an inconvenience to anybody. I didn't think about it. And I really hadn't. It wasn't one of those situations where I was like talking to her about it, trying to hint at, hey, could I use your truck? Can you help me? I literally was just like, she called me one day and was like, what you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm looking up a U-Haul. She was like, for what? Are you moving right now? Like, you know, what's up? I'm like, oh no, the accent chair we talked about, I'm gonna go pick it up. It's not fitting in my car. She's like, what? Why are you, when are you trying to pick it up? She starts moving her schedule around to try to pick it up for me, right? And it was so sweet because the day that she was gonna pick it up, there was this man at my church who has a pickup truck. Y'all, it was raining outside. And long story short, he volunteered to pick it up, drop it off, and bring it up to my apartment, y'all. And this is like, it's not really deep, and I'm not about to get emotional, but it's not a big example. But for me, it was a major thing because, first of all, he was the whole time, he's like, of course, you all are my sisters in Christ. Like, of course, I love you all. What else do you need? I can help you. Like, was not begrudging about it at all. Did not ask for anything. Did not ask for gas money. Did not, you know what I'm saying? Of course, like those type of things you want to arrange outside of it if you feel led to. But it was the fact that he was just like, of course, like we can go get that now. What else do you need? You know what I'm saying? And I just think about how we minimize the act of saying, like, here's what I need. I really could use some gas money. I really could use some grocery money. I really could use company. And maybe it's the fact that it's tied to you being in a place of needing that makes it hard. But when she says that courage is first and foremost asking for what you need, and it is brave to do so, I'm floored by that, because I'm like, how many times was I being a coward? And I don't want to use that word, but it's what came to mind. And chose to work harder or took the longer route when I could have just said to someone that I clearly am in relationship with, clearly have a rapport with, I could really use, or do you mind helping me with this? Or is there any way, you know what I mean? And even the thought of that, even the thought that she was supposed to help me and it ended up being someone else, further reminds me of how community works. How because of who you're connected to, you are connected to even more people. Because I know him too, but like, she was the one that was like, hey, like, I have to run an errand, do you mind, or something. Long story short, learn to ask for what you need. The second half of that one point was that she said also knowing how to say, I don't know. Her example pulls on my heartstring because she talks about in the classroom how all she needs is one student to say, I don't know. And what she's found is that at least 10 other kids also don't know. And this reminds me of my classroom, because I usually say, like, do we have one brave soul in the room who will start our open mic discussion, who will let me use their example as a teaching point, who will share their written response, who is confused, who will even tell me what I'm asking you to do, regurgitate back to me the instructions. All it takes is one, and you will find that, like, there's someone at every table that's like, well, could you explain this further? Because one person spoke up and completely removed the lie that you're dumb or inadequate or confused or any of that. So the first part of courage is asking for what you need, and or on like cassette B, being able to admit what you don't know. The second part is where the ouch comes in for me as well, because she says it is being willing to take risks, being vulnerable, and disappointed. So y'all remember when I first read this, I was like, whoa. But long story short, she says, I also see courage in myself when I'm willing to risk being vulnerable and disappointed. She goes on to saying, for many years, I really wanted something to happen, an invitation to speak at a conference, a promotion, a radio interview, and I pretended that it didn't matter that much. If a friend or colleague would ask, are you excited about that television interview? I'd shrug it off and say, I'm not sure. It's not that big of a deal. Of course, in reality, I was praying that it would happen. Here we go. Plug in. She says, it's only been in the last few years that I've learned that playing down the exciting stuff does not take the pain away when it doesn't happen. Playing down the exciting stuff does not take the pain away when it doesn't happen. It does, however, minimize the joy when it does happen. It also creates a lot of isolation. Once you've diminished the importance of something, your friends are not likely to call and say, I'm sorry that didn't work out. I know you were excited about it. Yeah. So this one is interesting because I know in the church we are taught, right? Not all churches teach this. Like, I don't think my church has ever said this, but I'm talking like culturally. You don't want to say it out loud because the enemy will hear you. Or you have those people that are so faith driven that they can allow themselves to get excited about it. Then you have those people that fear being excited about it publicly because there are people praying against them. And I feel like when it comes to those three things, I'm kind of the person that's like, I'm very much like, I believe God is going to come through if it's his will. That's my thing. But I can see myself kind of intertwined and woven in between these lines, because I also downplay things that I'm like, I don't see it yet. And while I believe that if it's your will, you'll make this come to pass, I'm scared to get excited, because tied to getting excited means disappointment, possible rejection, possibly having to go and tell every person that I was declaring this to it didn't happen. And I love this so much, y'all, because she says it doesn't take the pain away. When we downplay it, you know, when opportunities that we privately hoped for don't happen, you still undergo that pain, right? Like, but the people who should be there to support you through it can't, because you downplayed it. And so now it becomes not that you don't have people, but that you did not tap into your people from the very beginning of this experience. So they don't know that you need support. They can't show up because you did not make it clear that this was a major thing for you. She says, it does, however, minimize the joy when it does happen. So, oh, this is just so loaded. So downplaying it does not get rid of the pain if it doesn't happen. It does, however, minimize the joy a thing should have if it does happen. And this is so true too, because sometimes we secretly are like jumping, like, I cannot wait till this happens. Like that, right? I'm sorry, that's just my mood. And your friends are probably like, wait a minute. When we were talking about this, you were not this pumped. Can you connect the dots for me? What's the big win? Because you were downplaying it. So now you're super pumped, and yes, you can party by yourself, but your community doesn't even know to turn up to the max for you, because they weren't included. They weren't included in the fact that this was a big deal for you. You didn't let them know, right? And then she says it also creates a lot of isolation. So we've just talked about how you would have to undergo the pain of something that happened by yourself, and or you're celebrating by yourself because no one around you knows the intensity or the weight of this win, right? She says once you've diminished the importance of something, your friends are not likely to call and say, I'm sorry that didn't work out. I know you were excited about it. So those are the 2 points. And so what I want to challenge you to do after watching this video, and I'm also going to be doing the challenges with you all when I do assign them. I don't think I assigned any for the last video. I might have just asked you questions to think about. But I think the first challenge is to intently this week ask for what you need. Like, hands down. If you need company because you're feeling alone, I want you to call someone. If you are not able to tangibly touch someone, hey, I could really use some company tonight. Are you able to do a FaceTime date with me? Do you mind sitting on the phone with me? I just don't want to feel by myself today. If you need money, right? Like, I know money is a really weird subject. I know. But the point is not about what you're asking for. The point is getting in the behavior of asking. So this week, I want you to ask for what you need. Or, depending on where you are, I want you to speak up and say when you're confused. And be okay with it. You're not dumb. You're not inadequate. You're not the weaker link. You're not a problem. If you don't know, how do you even move forward, right? Like, I love that we're unpacking this book together, because it's the gems and these nuggets in between the pages of the book that we have to decompress and talk about and think about and analyze, because you don't want to keep going forward. Like, Brene brings so much information in this book, but you have to make sure you're grabbing all the gems. So if you don't know something, don't move forward. Whether that's at work, whether it's on a YouTube video, whether it's during a sermon, admit when you don't know. And then number 2, well, that's number 2. So number 3, this week, I want you to confide in 2 to 3 people. 2 to 3 people about something that is a big deal to you that you are wanting to happen. I say 2 to 3 because if you only have one, go to your one. But I want you to do it at least 3 times so that the behavior really takes root. And do it all week. If it has to be by text message, I want you to try it by text. I want you to try it by phone. I want you to pick up the phone and I want you to tell someone, hey, and I'm about to wrap this video up. I know we're at the 15-minute mark. I told you I'm trying to do the 15 minutes, but look at me. She says, now when someone asks me about a potential opportunity that I'm excited about, I'm more likely to practice courage and say, I'm so excited about the possibility. I'm trying to stay realistic, but I hope it happens. Love that, okay? Because she's putting it out there that, like, I get that this is a big deal, so I'm trying to maintain my excitement by being realistic, but I also want you to know that I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to do the challenge with you. I am going to do the challenge with you, and I think I'll check in about that in the next video, but I want you to share with 2 to 3 people throughout the entire course of the week by text and or by phone call or in person. Hey, I'm really excited about these opportunities, or this is what I'm envisioning for myself, and I'm really excited. I'm trying to stay realistic, but this is a major thing for me. So that when that win happens, someone knows to turn up at maximum for you. And when it doesn't happen, someone knows to be present and show up for you. All right, y'all. I am loving this series so much. If you're watching these videos to the end, I really appreciate you. As always, please like, comment below. Tell me how your week's going. Tell me how this information is impacting you. Tell me about a time you were courageous or when you weren't and wish you were. Whatever you want, just chat with me below. But as always, like, subscribe, and please share this video. I've been sharing with people by way of text message because, and I promise I'm about to be done, because I think this series that I'm doing is so special, and I can see this happening with a lot of books. And again, it's not about the amount of views, it's not about subscribers, it's really about us getting in a space of community, talking about these things, trying to create these behaviors, and really thinking like, dang, I do take the coward road more often than not, or I didn't realize how much anxiety happens when I have to tell someone about something, or how much I'm afraid of things not happening for me. And so it means winning and losing privately, and what that means for your life, what that looks like. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.